Let's roll. This is Countercharge, your podcast for ranks, flanks, and kings of war. Join your hosts as they delve into the world of Panithor and bring you worldwide coverage of all things Kings of War.
Welcome to Countercharge. I'm Trent Sosebee.
And I'm Rob Fanuff, and we're really excited to have Trent back on. This is the third episode we've had in, I don't know, a span of like maybe 2 months.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, we're following his journey back into Kings of War after his exile in Germany, now in Virginia, I guess. So that's exciting. And we've got some really exciting stuff to talk about tonight because you went to the Carolina Cryptid this year.
Yeah, first time. Matt, the TO, actually reached out to me after, I think it might have been the first episode he reached out to me on Facebook and told me about the event. I didn't know about it. And I think that was the one where me, you, and Jeremy were just talking, catching up. And I had to ask him, like, hey, I don't really know like the local scene. Like I met my guys in Richmond, but I wasn't sure about any of like the more local events in the, I guess I'm the mid-Atlantic region and then Southeast region. So it was cool that Matt reached out to me. Super, super nice dude, run a like top class event. It was amazing. But I was super happy to go there. It was only like a 3-hour drive too. So it was an easy sell, right? I actually woke up Saturday. I think I left here at like 5 just to give myself plenty of time and made it. And so Saturday was a long day with the 3 games, but it was a blast. It really was. I was glad to make it out.
The event was in Carolina, but where exactly in North Carolina?
In between Raleigh and Durham. So right around there. Yeah.
Give us a sense, where was it held and kind of how many players, and give us a sense of the vibe.
Yeah, so it was at a game store, and I want to say I think it was Atomic. I always want to call it Atomic Games.
Is it Atomic Empire?
But yes, Atomic Empire, which funny enough, I had just randomly, I did an order from Mantic, actually right after the first episode where I picked up the 4th edition rulebook and the Invasion supplement, whatever they're calling it. But after I ordered it, because when you order them from Mantic, it's shipping overseas, so it actually arrived pretty quickly. I was pretty surprised. And after I ordered it, I was like, I forgot to order the token set because I still have the old War Chest Creations like widget set, and those are 25 mil tokens like they were in 3rd edition. So good thing I read the rule book for my first game. It's like, they're 40 millimeter tokens now. I tried to find something on Etsy, but I couldn't really find anybody that was like doing kind of exactly what I wanted. So I was like, you know what? Now that I know that Mantic has them, I'm going to try to like find something local because I didn't want to wait for it forever to come from overseas. And I ended up ordering it from Atomic Empire because it was like the first thing that popped up on Google. And then when I was on the website, I was like, there's the event right there. So it's kind of funny that it worked out like that. Super nice game store, great venue. I think we had 10 tables assigned to us. They had a huge, nice play area. We had 9, so there were 18 players on 9 tables for the event. It wasn't a massive event like Lone Wolf or something like that, but it definitely wasn't small. And there were a lot of guys there from the Southeast that drove up, and then a lot of people from like the local area too. And I think there was one other person from Virginia that ended up showing up. But I got to meet everybody, got to talk to everybody. It was a great, great time. Like I think I talked to every single person there, and they were just like genuinely happy to see me. But dude, I still have my bag of Countercharge swag that you gave me from Adepticon 2023, where I had the stickers and stuff, and I'd gotten rid of the dice. I'd given it away to the Richmond guys when we had our meetup. I guess that was in March now, but I don't know what I did with the bag. I was so excited to hand out stickers, but I couldn't find it. I had like reorganized the garage whenever we moved finally, and we ended up, there's like yellow, I think they're like 27-gallon totes. Dude, we have, no joke, we have 30 of them stacked up in the garage. I went through every single one, and I don't know what I did. I just had like the Countercharge stuff in a Walmart bag. So I was upset about that. I was like, oh man, I'm trying to rep the brand. I had my engraved widget set with the Countercharge logo on it, but I couldn't find my stickers. But yeah, it was a regular 2-day GT. So Saturday and Sunday, Memorial Day weekend. I think this was the 4th one that they had. And it was regular scenarios, but we had an extra monster. So there were a couple of different options, and it was kind of cool because there were some options that were like only available like to specific regions, which was kind of cool. But I ended up taking one that I thought kind of fit my army a little bit more. This one is the Wampus Cat, and it was pretty nasty. It was speed 5 and defense 6, so pretty slow. But I kind of like parked it with my main battle line of zombies and revenants, and they're also speed 5. So I'm like, oh, okay, so we can just like stick and kind of support there. But this dude was a Pathfinder, Vicious, Dread, Iron Resolve D3 with defense 6, and then Blood Boil. So I was like kind of excited to try that out. And looking back on it, I probably would have chosen a more combat focused one just to kind of help punch up a little bit from like my main center battle group. But I did Blood Boil off a couple of units. I think 1 or 2 games I did, so that was kind of dope to do that. But it's kind of tricky because like I'm running 2 zombie legions, a zombie horde, and a horde of revenants. And obviously, I just want stuff to hit and stick, right? Like that's kind of the whole game plan. So it's kind of hard to figure out. It's like, okay, do I withdraw and then try to shoot him with Blood Boil, or do I just stay in combat? And I basically Blood Boil would be a follow up. It's like, okay, if he breaks through one area, he'll be damaged up. Hopefully, the unit will be. So then I can cast that and hopefully try to get rid of him. I did screw up one play that I was super pumped about because I had all my characters lined up. Because I bring Zuniak too, who's got the Fireball 5 that heals, which is pretty clutch. I liked him a lot. I think I'm going to keep him at least until Morgoth gets re-released. I actually used my Morgoth model for it, so it's kind of funny. So I had this play lined up where I did all my quick like little maneuvering, and I was like, oh, there's my line of sight right there. Okay, I'm going to Blood Boil this dude, and then I'm going to Surge my Goreblight into the flank. Well, the first thing I did, I cast Surge. And as soon as I hit, I was like, I knew I forgot to do something. But it was all right. Yeah, it was a good time. Yeah, so Saturday morning, check-in was 10. We got started at 10:30, and we did a pretty good job staying on time. I played against Dwarves. It was Jim Smith, and it was pieces of 8 with normal deployment.
And we know we should do too. We should mention the event's called the Carolina Cryptid for those that are outside the United States. A cryptid is a monster of the region that has unscientifically been proven. And the Wampus Cat's actually one of them.
It kind of reminds me of like the Jersey Devil, right? Like it's like a local, like regional folklore thing.
And these would be Carolina Cryptids would be ones from North Carolina.
Yep. Yeah. So let's see here. So this was the Mid-Atlantic region specific one. It was the Blue Dog. Southeast specific one was the Boo Hag, which that was a really nasty one. It had this weird combination where you could enthrall 10. And then if you enthralled somebody, even if it's not in range, you could drain life 9. So that had some really interesting stuff to it.
The Boo Hag, if I recall correctly, is a vampiric spirit. And like she sheds her skin or something. And yeah, it's.
Oh, dude, let me tell you, there were some really, really cool cryptid models out there. People put a lot of work into those. I was not one of those people. I used one of my, I think I'm
a power gamer, right? You're not into the hobby.
Yeah.
You're not into the hobby. It's all about power gaming with you. Yeah.
And then I took the Wampus Cat. There's also the Raleigh Blob and Nabi the Squatch. A lot of people took Nabi. He was one of the combat heavy ones with like Stealthy Strider, Crushing Strength 3, Slayer D3. So he was pretty nasty. I played against him a couple of times, and it was cool because it was a pretty simple scoring. It was like win, loss, draw, 15, 10, 5. There were kill points in there too, and then there were did your cryptid survive, and did you kill your opponent's cryptid? I don't know how many points those were worth, but those were like the 4, right? The 4 main categories that people scored on. And it was really interesting. I think I mentioned it because I'd only played one game of 4th edition before this with this new-ish army list that I was running. I played against Trident Realm when we had our meetup in Richmond. And it wasn't like a shooting heavy. It did have some shooting, but it wasn't a shooting heavy army. And I kind of forgot that, the Southeast meta loves their shooting. So 4 out of the 5 armies that I played were just like completely shooting. And the first game that I played, we'll kind of get into it, but the first game I played against shooting, I just panicked and I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to shamble for it, and just got completely shot off the table. Yeah, like I said, I'll go into it a little more detail, but basically I was down both of my hammer units, which were 2 regiments of werewolves, by turn 3 on that game. So I was like, I don't think this is going to work out for me. And it didn't. So it was good. It was a good learning experience, though. Going into it here, the first game I played Jim Smith. He had his dwarves, and we were playing pieces of 8. And it was a really close game. And, man, I was struggling on the clock for this first game. I actually ended with 6 seconds left, and that's only because Jim was a bro in the last turn. For some reason, I had set up so I had to roll both of my zombie legions, and I think I went into it with like 4 minutes left on turn 6. But we were so far in the game, he was like, bro, just snake eyes it, don't worry about it. So if he didn't let me do that, I definitely would have been clocked out, dice down. But it was a really tight one with the bluff tokens because I kind of misread. I was thinking I had an idea of where he was putting stuff based on like where he deployed, but I completely misread where it was. But luckily enough, I ended up on one of the 2 tokens, and I think it was only like 3-2. It was a really close game. It was a great game, but that was the first time where I really had to like play against the shooting army, playing the dwarves. And I think let's see, I have his list open here. Yeah, he had the Brock Riders for his big hammers, and I forgot just I mean, they're melee 4, but dude, the regiment with 26 attacks is just like a scary thing to be facing down on the end of the table. But he had a ton of crossbows. He had 2 hordes of crossbows, then I think 2 iron belcher cannons, and then a lot of the other ones 3 iron belcher cannons, and then he had like 6 regiments stacking it up. So he had 16 drops and 29 unit strength. So it was kind of intimidating facing it down. But it was a great game. He was a great opponent. I had an absolute blast playing him. But yeah, I sped up my turns after that, so I got a little more familiar with the list. Because the biggest thing, I think that's always the challenge. I always like the events that have the special characters. Kind of just changes it up a little bit, gives everybody a little bit like an advantage, so they can kind of fit the synergy of their army a little bit better. But I always find myself like reading the player pack, and I was like, "Oh man, what does that guy do again? What's his speed? What's his nerve? What does it do?" I think I forgot to roll the Iron Resolve. It didn't end up mattering really, but I forgot to roll the Iron Resolve D3 like every single time that my dude ended up in combat. Because even though he was a caster, I mean, with defense 6, I would just throw him out there sometimes just to block. But yeah, and then also I was going to say with the objective based games, I mean, these were the bluff counters, so it didn't matter. But I had bought the new set of the 40mm tokens, which was super nice to have. They're pretty nice, like little acrylic ones that look good. But I ordered the I guess it's the official Kings of War dice from Baron of Dice. I didn't realize that they were the official ones. I got the undead ones just to add to the collection. And they have I think it was really for 40K. I don't think it's specific to Kings of War, but the objective markers where you have like the 40mm, and then from that is just a little overlay of exactly 3 inches. And every time we played an objective based game, I would slap those down, and I think it made it so much easier so you could see exactly where 3 inches was, so you didn't have to measure and try to move every time. So that was cool. I always like adding to my arsenal of widgets, But yeah, so game 1 went well. I got the win there. And then after that, I kind of spiked at the beginning. And then at game 2, I played George O'Connell with his salamanders. And man, let me tell you what, he was an absolute gentleman to play, but he was playing a very, very heavy shooting list. I think he had. Let me look up George's old list here. He had 4 commandants and like 6 regiments of course. Every unit he had shot, and he was playing the cryptid with the enthrall. So he was threw off my movement a couple of times. But man, I underestimated the commandants. Like it was ridiculous. I think the first turn of shooting, he took off a regiment of werewolves. And I want to say he took off a legion of zombies, like first real round of shooting. And this was like turn 2. So man, I was just trying to play catch up after that. But we were playing. This was the only scenario that we did not do normal deployment. We did the like slant deployment, which was interesting. I'm not entirely sure if I liked it. I liked like the table, just changed it up a little bit. But my big complaint is that when you're deployed that way, I always had to like walk. I was walking around the table the whole time because the table's made to play like long ways. But it was cool, and because I didn't even realize we were doing slant deployment when we were playing out when we were placing out the terrain, because the terrain was we had a set map, so we would place it before, measure everything. Everybody would give the thumbs up and we'd be good, which was cool. But I was like, man, this is like the weirdest terrain setup I've ever seen. And then I saw the deployment. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But this one was just had the loot counters on the units, and then it's 1 victory point if your opponent, if you're in your deployment zone on your half of the table, and then it's 2 if you're on their half of the table. And scenario wise, it was actually really close. I mean, he just absolutely shot the shit out of me, right? Sorry, I know you're gonna have to hammer a lot of these, but
no worries, no worries.
And it was really close up until about turn 5, and I made a big mistake where I should have dropped the token because he finally because I had my horde of zombies behind my horde of revenants holding on to the token, so that way he couldn't really see anything. But I should have switched it whenever that horde started getting a bunch of wounds on it, because I could kind of see the writing on the wall. But I ended up dropping it, and just the way he put so much pressure on me after all the shooting, I was never able to get it back. So it was only like a 1 or 2 point difference in victory points. But yeah, there was a lot of arrows coming my way. And then the third game, I played Russell Levy, and he had an ogre list, so I was getting flashbacks from playing your ogres, Rob, and back in KCGT. I actually told him the story too, and I was like, man, I hate ogres because of this very specific game.
Yeah,
but he had a really interesting, like, very shooty ogre list, so I was pretty concerned about it. He had the crossbow dudes, and then I think it's the boomers. So he had the long range in there, and then he had some of the short range too. And then he was running old Grok, and then 2 red goblin slashers. I was pretty concerned with the red goblin slashers just because of the melee threat that they have, and they were also outputting some pretty decent amount of wounds and shooting. I got really, really lucky on side for this one, and the way that the impassable terrain was set up, it like split his side of the board. And sorry, I should have said this. This was Portal of Peril, which I was super worried about. It's funny, Matt, the TO actually brought everybody in, and he's like, guys, I need you to listen very carefully to this scenario. But he wrote out like a little cheat sheet on these papers that he had on every table, which was super helpful. But I actually really enjoyed the scenario. Like, I was kind of confused at first, but then once we started playing, I was like, oh, okay, I get how it works. So Russ deployed really heavily on the left flank, like my left flank. But then he had the building that split his side of the deployment. Basically, it was like 2/3 was the left, and then 1/3 was the right of the building. And he went pretty light on the right flank just because there wasn't much space. So I set up right in the middle, a little bit offset from the center objective, which was the portal itself, and ended up getting really lucky with just a long bomb charge from a Goreblight. I did 7-inch charge, and hooked up. I didn't pick it up the first turn, but I blocked up one of his shooting regiments. I can't remember exactly which one it was, and ended up clearing it off that side of the board. So when I cleared that side, I had my 2 units with their tokens sitting over there. I took out one of the slashers on that flank. Got really lucky. I think I rolled like a 9 or a 10 twice to pick up the slasher, so that was another lucky thing. And then after I kind of cleared that out, I took my main block, my horde of zombies and my horde of revenants, and just kind of like pivoted them and blocked like that flank, and they just sit there and took the punishment. And my other dudes, repositioned a little bit. But the only reason I won is because I went bottom a turn. So every single turn he would go up to, and it would be like 6-2 or whatever it was there. And then I would go up the other 2. So I always had like the last turn kind of. So it ended up working out really well. Just having those 2 hordes there, just kind of blocking all of the shooting coming from other dudes. So that worked out well. That was a great game. So 3 great games for the first day. And man, I'll tell you what, after between the drive and doing 3 games, I mean, you know how GTs are. Like, they're an absolute blast, right? But you're just absolutely exhausted, especially after Saturday on a 3-game day. I was just beat. But Matt had organized the vast majority of us went to this. I think it was like 10 of us went to the sushi restaurant, got to hang out, shoot the and talk about the tournament and all that stuff. So it was a great time. I got to meet everybody and all this. I think the guys, because a lot of the guys in that group like have known each other for a really long time, so they get a huge Airbnb, and it just turns into a hangout like most of the tournaments are. Right? It's I probably won't see these guys until I go to Cryptid again next year. So that's always a good part of going to the GTs. But I'm just so glad I was able to make it out, and it's interesting because Cryptid, like I said, it's the 4th year, and it's always on Memorial Day weekend. And I know that doesn't kind of work for some people because some people, go on vacation with their family or go on trips or something like that. But it's nice to know for sure, like I'll always have like a long weekend, right? So it's not bad being able to drive down on Saturday, only be gone from the family one night, come back Sunday, and then know that we have Monday to hang out with the family, recoup before work starts. So it worked out really well. So I was feeling pretty good going into day 2. I was 2-1, although the one loss was pretty brutal. It was close on victory points, so I'll say that, but not on kill points, not at all. And I went into day 2 on game 4, and I actually played Russ's son, who was there, Brandon Levy. And dude, I was so happy to play him because he was playing orcs, and it was like the most orky list ever. It was just straight melee. He had 7 regiments of Moraxes, a regiment of Thunderseers, 2 Storm Slayers, 2 Flaggers, and a Crutcher on Wing Slasher. So it was just a typical, just like melee beatdown army, right? That was the first thing I told him. I'm like, dude, I was like, I'm so glad you're not playing any shooting. But I underestimated how impactful the Green Rage order was. And I was shambling up. He was pushing his orcs up, and I'm like, okay, we were in combat by turn 2. And dude, those regiments with the Green Rage order are absolute blenders. I was thinking to myself, I was doing the math, right? And I was like, all right, my legion should like at least survive 2 turns, right? Like they're not gonna kill him on the first shot. He killed him on the first shot. It was crazy. So I was kind of backpedaling from the beginning. And this one was control. So it was a relatively simple scenario. And it ended up being close too. At the end of it, I think it was like 3-2 he got me. But yeah, he just punched through so much of my block of nerves so quickly. I was kind of like on the back foot the rest of the game, but we just had some brutal combats, man. Like it was so much fun. This is the game where I blood boiled his I think all of his units are hammers, but his regiment of Thunderseers with the Brew of Sharpness, I was able to blood boil those off. So got him devastated with blood boil, and then didn't roll the snake eyes, thankfully. But I could just never catch back up. He had one flank where I made a little bit of a mistake where I thought I had him gummed up enough, but again, I underestimated the Green Rage ability or command, and it's just absolutely insane. He just blended through my horde of zombies, and I had a regiment of werewolves over there supporting that flank with the idea of like, okay, I'm going to push through and then go up and claim that quadrant for control. But I was really worried about the center early on because so many of my units collapsed after I killed. It was like 1 or 2 regiments on that flank. I was like, okay, my zombies are just going to hold these dudes off. Like I got the unit strength over here. My zombies and wraith, I'm like, it'll be fine. So I pivoted the werewolf, and he ended up, getting a couple of good charges in the middle. But he ended up winning that flank, and then I just could never push through his center. So it was a good game. The only reason I scored anything that I did is because right at the end I was like, okay, I'm just gonna run my individuals over there and score his 2. But he got my 2, and then the 1 from that flank that I gave up on. So it was a great game. It was super bloody. I can't remember what the kill points were, but there was not much left on the table. Well, mostly for me, but also I think I killed like half of the stuff. But it was good to play a fully melee army. And then my last game, game 5, it was Protect and Raise, which is another really fun scenario. And this is where the little like overlays for the objectives I was talking about really came in handy, where it goes 3 inches out from the 40 millimeter. I played Tristan Gower and his Abyssal Dwarves, and he had 4 of the heavy mortars, or 3. It was 3 or 4, and some lesser obsidian golems, and he had the immortals in there, and then 2 regiments of orc slaves and 1 of the hordes of the orcs. So this one, I think the biggest advantage that I had on this is on one of the flanks. There was like a forest there blocking line of sight from the majority of his stuff. So I took my regiment of werewolves and Lycanus on that side, and like right on the first turn, I ran up 18, pivoted, and then just stayed on the objective because scoring didn't start until turn 2. And then on the right flank, I had my other regiment of werewolves where I give one regiment the Helm of Confidence, so I can like split that battle group if I need to, which kind of worked out. I've been thinking about dropping it, but it was kind of nice to have the flexibility with that. It was really weird with the terrain. I like the terrain. It was a lot different. It wasn't like normal terrain, but he kind of just got blocked off, and he only had one regiment of slaves right there. So that first turn, or this might have been the second turn, I basically just charged with that, cleared out that regiment, and then turned the werewolves. So then I was threatening like both flanks, and I just kept the werewolves on the left flank on the objective until turn 2. They didn't charge on turn 2. They just stayed there so they could burn the token. So I got ahead just because of my speed playing against the Abyssal Dwarves. But dude, let me tell you, the mortars, like they were punishing. He shot a Goreblight off in one round of shooting, and I was starting to worry about that. So that's why I was like, okay, let's pressure these flanks. So that way he has to kind of like adjust to the threat, so he's not just focusing on the center. And that freed up a lot of the shooting and took the pressure off like my center block when I just kept running up like this. And with the Lesser Obsidian Golems, this is where my Hammer of Measured Force on the Horde of Revenants finally paid off, where I got to crack into them, and they finally did some work. That was really the only thing they killed, like the whole tournament, but just having that solid block of 25 nerve, defense 5 is pretty nice for like your central battle group. But I think the biggest takeaways I had was I absolutely love the command for the undead to give a unit not shambling until the end of turn. Number one for scenarios, which saved my butt more times than I can count, because I'd be like, oh man, it's like turn 5, I got to get in this position. But you can only sidestep 2.5 or whatever. So getting that command off was key, especially in this game, because I have 2 troops of race that I use. And there was one turn where I popped the command on both of them and was able to fly them up 14 and just, they didn't charge anything, but they were just like right there, just absolutely messing everything up. There were a few times where, I messed up my charges because of that, but I think it ended up working to my advantage, just leveraging like some of the speed that I had in my list facing the dwarves, just to try to get the objective as play the objective as much as I could. But yeah, so I ended up going 3-2. I didn't score very many bonus points. I think I killed a cryptid like once or twice, and my cryptid died once or twice too. And I ended up 10th out of 18th. So typical countercharger, right? Like right there in the middle. I was happy with it.
So you're just like, just below, you're right there.
Yeah. Rob, like if you were there, you would have been 9th, and
I would have been 9th, and you'd have been 10th.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
exactly.
I would have been 4th if I would have got to play you. But
fair enough.
I'm just sitting here and I'm just amused because it's obviously this really has lit your fire a little bit.
Oh, dude, yeah. Can you tell?
I can't. Coming out of that, like, what's next? You got new plans? You got pumped, right?
Dude, I'm just like always tinkering with my list. Now, one of the big things, and Nathan Clevenger was there. He was playing Undead too. He was playing he had regiments of skeletons for his unlocks. And then he had 4 hammers. So he had, I think it was 3 regiments of werewolves and 1 regiment of whites. So it was cool talking to him, seeing how his games went and everything like that. I think he came in second in the tournament. Yeah, he came in second. So he did a great job with his undead list. But we were both talking a little bit closer to the end, and we're just like, man, he was the first one that said it. He's like, man, I don't know about the Lycanus, because the Lycanus is 185 points, and the intent of it is to support your, regiments, troops, werewolves, whatever you have. But it's only 5 attacks. Like, yeah, it's crushed 2, but he's only got 5 attacks. So I've been messing with a list where I dropped the Lycanus, and I had a couple of comments from Facebook too, where I saw people had some really good luck using bark skin on zombies, which, it's going to hit on a 2+. So I've kind of been messing around. I took the Lycanus out. I gave Zuniok bark skin 5, because he has elite in range too. So I'm like, oh, dude, it's going to hit on 2s and it's going to be elite. Like, that's awesome. Just to make the zombies a little more, have a little more survivability. But I'm thinking I kind of have this weird thing, and I haven't tested it out yet. I've just been messing around with it, where I'm took a standard bearer, put him on a horse, so he's speed 8. I was thinking about giving him the brew of haste to make him speed 9, so he could stay with the werewolves. But I'm like, well, he's very inspiring, so he doesn't need to be right there, and he's not a combat character, right? But I gave him right now. My plan is to give him, I can't remember, the torque of command or whatever it is, where you can cast commands 18 inches instead of 12. So I'm like, it would be nice, because that was one thing I found about the Lycanus too, is he can throw commands, but the undead commands right now as it stands, that's probably going to change whenever they release more commands. The commands are very focused on, like, the one that gives life leech is only decaying hordes, so that's zombies and revenants. The shambling one is great, but he was never really in range, being on the flank. So my idea is, okay, I can have the standard bearer up there, inspiring at least one of my units of werewolves, and then supporting either the flank or the main battle group with the 18-inch command range. So we'll see how it goes. I need to test it out, but I'm kind of excited about it. I also dropped Bane Chant from the Necromancer. I used it a couple times, but it never really made a difference for anything, I don't think, because zombies are already hitting on 5s anyways. So maybe it would. Maybe I was just bad, because every time I cast, I didn't get a Bane Chant a single time. That's probably also why I wanted to drop it. But I threw heal 3 on them. So just trying to make my center line a little more a little better at absorbing those range hits as they come in, because I do really like the idea of having that elite bark skin in there. I think bark skin 5 would make a huge difference.
Have you been following the Mantic blog in terms of what's been coming around for the Fracture book?
Yeah, absolutely. And I listened to your guy. I guess it was your Fireside, where you guys were kind of going over some of the model releases, and have been keeping up with them.
Or you could listen to the one where we had Alex from Mantic on to go in a little bit more detail.
I just listened to that, so that was cool.
But I'm just curious though, because you were talking about the Lycanus. Does giving it that new rule where one of the units of werewolves can be a core choice, does that change the flavor there on the Lycanus?
Yeah, me and Nate were talking about that too. I'm not sure. I don't think with the list that I have it right now, I don't think it's going to change anything.
Because you already had the slots, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah. The slots weren't an issue for me. And one thing I mentioned this before, but I have 2 legions of zombies that I multi-base back in 3rd. And honestly, I just like legions of zombies, and I really like the way that those units turned out. So I want to keep running them. Yeah. So that kind of locked me into having at least 1 Gore Blight. But the way my center line is, it makes sense to have 2 to spread out the Cloak of Death. So I'm kind of locked into having 2 Gore Blights right now. And dude, honestly, other than the werewolves are just absolute machines. I think the Gore Blights were my second MVPs. It's so easy to get them, once you're stuck into combat and something breaks, it's so easy to get up there, turn, and just go and just get ready for a surge to get a flank in. And they put in a lot of work, especially with Strider too. And I really didn't use Surge that much. I normally don't. I think out of all the games, I probably used it 3 or 4 times. There was that one game with Russ where I mentioned I had a long bomb Surge that really helped out. I don't normally like doing that, because it normally never works. But I have Surge 8 with Zuniok and its elite, and then Surge 6 with the Necromancer. So you can do some shenanigans with it. But really, it's just good to kind of threaten flanks and make your opponent think about oh, now this is something else I have to play around with. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'll be interested when it changes to see how I can finagle it around, because I do want to try out some whites too. I just love the werewolves having speed 9 and not being shambling too, just because you can have a lot of pressure on the flanks with those guys. And they're just if you get a flank with a werewolf, it's going to delete some units. It was really nice.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about the winners, right? Our very good friend Tony Nelson, right? He took the whole thing out, and I know you had a chance to chat with Tony, and he gave a little bit of his background.
Yep. Yeah, he let me know that you're the one that got him hooked on Kings of War. How long ago was that?
I don't remember it. He hasn't lived here in probably, gosh, I'm just gonna guess here. It may be 10 years ago, something like that. Yeah. It was a long time. I mean, before that, I met Tony for the first time at a Brawler Bash in the general area that you were at for this event. It was a Carolina event that was for Warhammer Fantasy Battles. Maybe 2010. I don't know. It's been a long time, dude.
Yeah.
Right? It's been a long time. But yeah, and then somehow he ended up moving to Memphis and was here for a little while. We got some games, and even before really Kings of War, we played a lot of Warhammer as well here. So yeah, Tony's a cool guy. Love that guy. He's just he's a great human being. So it's really fun to hear him. Well, actually, I played Tony a few times at events, but the last time I was when I went to the U.S. Masters, or the Best of the Rest in my case, in Washington, D.C. a couple years ago. He was my last game, and I had Salamanders, and he had the Flying Circus, not Flying Circus, but the Kingdoms of Men list, which right. So yeah, it was a great game. He's just such a fun guy to play. Sweats a lot. You got to give him an extra towel because that man, he can sweat, man. And he's a big guy, so like his sweat kind of comes down. The ants are running away because they're going to get smashed by these sweat droplets.
Yeah, I never got to play him, but I talked to him quite a bit after the game. So he was great dude, an absolutely gorgeous army. We were just talking about that before we started recording.
So he won best overall. Who won best general?
Let's see, best general I think was Ed Fisk.
Okay, Ed, ex-U.S. Master.
Yep, and then like I said before, Nathan Clevenger was second
overall.
I think this is. I'm just looking at the ranking list right now. I think this was Battle, and then I think it was Alex Chavez won third.
What, Alex? You had some heavy hitters there.
Yeah, and I was actually they do a I think it's specific to the Mid Atlantic region, but they do the like a team thing. Yeah, yeah. So they presented that there, and I just got thrown on a random team. So it was me, Nathan, and Alex on the team. So I should probably apologize to this. I'm like, you guys probably would have won if it wasn't for me.
What they should have done was they should have done a better job of saying, hey, guys, we're only going to take the best 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
And then your score wouldn't have mattered, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, it sounds like a great event. And it sounds like Matt, as usual, ran a really cool event.
Yeah, it was excellent, TO. Like the prize support was insane. The awards were really nice. And like I said, my favorite thing I told him this multiple times is he had like a sheet of paper for every game, and on that paper you had the map with the terrain placement with the heights on there, and then you had a little like summary of the objective for each game, which was super helpful for some of the newer ones like Portal of Peril. I think me and Russ were reading that like every time we're like, wait, hold on, how does this work again? And then something a little bit interesting too that I actually really liked is for every game, whoever didn't pick table side, so whoever lost the first die roll got a +1 to see who goes first roll. So that was kind of cool little like caveat that he had in there too.
Maybe speak to the scoring system because it's a progressive. It's a very different kind of scoring system, right?
For Portal?
Well, I mean, just in general for the way the game scores. Isn't it progressive in the sense that you score every turn?
Yeah, I think it's starting at turn 2. No, sorry, this one's turn 4. Turn 2 is the one where you would burn objectives. The portal activates, and you can start scoring at the end of each player turn. So basically, both players start with a pool of 4 victory points. So it's like 4 and 4. And then the way you score is either A, you have a unit with a token on your opponent's side of the board, or B, you have a unit with the token controlling the center objective, which the center objective is like the Portal of Peril, and you steal one of your unit's victory points. So like if it was 4-4 and I stole 1, then it would be 5 and my opponent would have 3. The big caveat there is if you control the portal and you use it to steal a victory point, then you take your unit takes 2 D3 damage. I think it might be like 1 D3 in the book, but we made it 2 D3. It might be the other way around. You don't take a nerve test or anything from it, but like if your opponent has shooting, it kind of just like is a little more risky using the portal. Hence the Portal of Peril, right? And then there's some limits. I think you start with 3 tokens that you drop on your units. And then you can only, even if you have 3 units on your opponent's side of the board, you can only steal up to 2 points. The only way to steal 3 in one turn is to have 2 units on the opponent's side of the board and control the portal. So the portal is like an additional one you can steal. It sounds a lot more complicated than it is. Like once you get going, it makes a lot of sense. And I think it's a really fun objective. And then the only other progressive scoring was, what was it? Game 5. It was protect and raise. And that one is not really progressive as much as, so it starts on turn 2, where if you control an objective on your opponent's side of the board, you basically get 1 victory point, and then that objective is removed. So you can score 3 victory points until the end of the game, and then at the end of the game, you score additional victory points by, number 1, controlling the center objective, or number 2, if there are still objectives left on your side of the board and you control them, then you get 1 additional point from that. So I think it's total, I guess it's like 7 victory points you can get. So that was a cool one too. I really like that one. I'm really excited to see, because I think they said that they're releasing new scenarios with the Fracture book, right? So who knows what they're going to come up with those. But yeah, normally I just like to play the simple ones like dominate or something, not straight kill, but just like dominate or control or something like that. But having these other objectives made it pretty interesting, especially with everything having unit strength. Like individuals, I know individuals can hold the like loot tokens or anything like that. But they can score. They have unit strength, so they can score control. They can control objectives or whatever it is. So it was really cool. I'm used to just kind of and I did this a couple times where I was just like, I'm just ignoring my individuals. But if you just get them over, like in control, get them over into a quadrant at the end of the game, then you can score with them. So it's pretty cool.
So kind of what were your takeaways, on your drive home, right? What were you thinking?
Dude, I was so tired on the drive home. I was zoned out the whole time. But no, I was thinking about how I want to change my list up. Kind of some of the things that like me and Nate were talking about with the Lycanus. That was like the first thing I started doing was messing with the list, like I talked about. But really, and this is funny, I bought 2 hordes of zombies after our second interview with me, you, and Matt. And had 3D printed out some terrain pieces that I had to match like my current army. Bought a 3D printer too after the first call, so I'm really like back into the thick of it. So I think I'm gonna try out another list where maybe I don't take the legions and I rely a little more heavily on just the hordes of zombies, because I was surprised the hordes of zombies did pretty well. And it's so nice. I think there are 110 points. I have my list over here somewhere. Yeah, 110 points for the horde. And there were a couple times where I would just kind of keep them in the back and just like park them on an objective or something like that while the rest of the army went off to put pressure on everything, and it worked out really well. The only thing that I'm concerned about is with adding more hordes is just you start getting long at that point. But I will say I do love like the infantry focus of the game now. It's really, really nice, and it makes for some really really impressive displays on the table. Like there were some absolutely gorgeous armies there. So it was great to get out and go into an event and seeing everyone else's armies and paint jobs and display boards and multi bases. It always makes you feel bad about yourself, but it also like motivates you to do more hobbying, right?
But a little birdie said you won best painted at the event.
I got best painted Mantic army. So
okay,
I'll put that caveat in there. But
there.
I was
hey,
I was really surprised.
Hardware is hardware.
Yeah. So I was super pumped about that, and it came with a nice little trophy. I think I sent you a picture of it, and I was like, dude, you're never gonna believe this.
You're definitely passionate about your hobby and your background stories. I remember the one for your Forces of Nature army are legendary.
I didn't mention that I added onto the background to try to make it fit a little bit more with the changes from 4th edition. And this one was all about, the name of my army is Morgoth's Revenge. I always put a name on my army.
You know what's funny? That's the name of the first 2-player starter set for Kings of War.
Wait, is it really? See, I didn't even know that.
Morgoth's Revenge. Yeah, hang on. I'm going to look it up. I'm like 100% sure.
Oh, man. I might have to do some research. But yeah, I had I actually still had the Google Doc where I did so I had a backstory for Forces of Nature. And then when I switched back to Undead in 3rd edition, I made my backstory like fit into Forces of Nature a little bit, because Forces of Nature are neutral, so you never know what they're going to do for their alignment.
And then it's called Morgoth's Revenge, dude.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah.
And then I took those two stories and made another story about like kind of how it all like falls in, and what they're doing to wait on Morgoth, and everything like that. So I'm building it up whenever he gets re-released. So hopefully it'll be a good playable warlord that I can take.
That's funny. That is too funny though. That is too funny that you actually.
Dude, that's awesome. I might have to go try to find that box somewhere.
Well, you know what? I've told this story before. I found a place here in Tennessee that was like blowing them out for like I'm gonna say $50. It's probably no, it's like $40. This was a long time ago.
For this like
for that starter set. Yeah. Back when it was new, and I went halves with a friend, and I think we bought 10 of them.
What?
I kept the undead part, and he had the dwarf part. I haven't played undead in Kings of War in like probably like 10 years at this point, but I have a very, very big army, and I have even more plastic skeletons coming out my butt. So yeah, it's just like, yeah, it was a great kit because it's like the skeleton infantry, and then the ghouls, and maybe that's it. I can't remember. Yeah. And over the years, they've added some other cool stuff, like the Soul Reavers, and I mean, yeah, it's a cool army, dude. I mean, even though it's older sculpts, I still like that army quite a bit. I really like the skeletons in that army. They give me that Army of Darkness vibe.
Dude, I like the skeletons too. I don't actually have any skeletons painted, which is crazy because I think I haven't added it up in 4th, but I'm pretty sure I have like at least 10,000 points of undead. My main core I use is zombies, and then I used to play ghouls a lot, but I kind of stopped just because they're so squishy and they get wavered and get in the way of everything. So I wanted to for this edition, I was like, you know what, I want to use some revenants. But it's not that I don't like the Mantic Revenants models. I think the Revenant models are great, but I really like the Wraith models. And the way that I have my Wraiths, like for my troops, is I just have them painted like a ghostly blue. They kind of match with the whites that I have. That was kind of the idea. That I'm like, oh, they're defense 6 because they're they're ghosts. They're hard to hit,
and they don't have any armor. So like, so it makes it perfect just to go ahead and paint them all like a blue or ethereal blue or ethereal green or even a yellow.
Yeah. It's a quick way to get them painted, and I think it looks good because it kind of like contrasts with the rest of the army too. But for my horde of revenants, I actually had I think I did a trade with one of my buddies back in Germany, and I got an old GW corpse cart, and I have 3D printed corpse carts on my legions of zombies, but this was like one of the OG like fantasy ones, and so I slapped that in the middle, and then the wraiths are painted like they're not ethereal in this one, but I used wraiths for the Revenant Horde, but they're painted like they actually have some like metallic-y blue armor. So I think it works. But yeah, I probably need to paint some actual Revenant models because they are nice. And like you said, the Mantic skeletons are really nice. But I really like the way that it turned out for this one. I think it looks pretty nice.
You mentioned you listened to some episodes where we were talking about Fracture. What do you think of the new models coming out? Because you are a Forces of Nature guy.
I am a Forces of Nature guy, and I am my Forces of Nature list that I had in 3rd was very elemental heavy. Like it was Earth elementals, and then I had the Hydras, which don't exist anymore, and then the air elementals and Scorch Wings.
Well, maybe they'll be back.
Yeah, that would be really nice. And I really like these models actually. And I think I can't remember who said it on that last podcast, but it's like, we have a herd, beastman, like whatever, like kind of that trope. But these models show me that Mantic are really owning their own IP. And I like the fact that, they're kind of like, cat-like centaurs or whatever it is. Like they really took the creative liberty and kind of went their own way with it. So I really enjoyed it. I've been thinking about picking some up, but I really need to get in there and just start messing around with the list builder for Forces of Nature because I don't really know which way I'll go with it. There's so many options. Like I feel like there's more options with Forces of Nature than there are Undead, and Undead is already a pretty like versatile army as is, other than shooting, But who wants to play shooting?
Yeah, you could also just start with the Champions box, right? Which will give you some of the hard plastics and that really cool character, right? So I'm a fan of the models. I mean, I think it's really neat that this concept for the Pharaon is that old, right? Because it really struck a nerve, and they're like, oh, by the way, this is in the book that's like 10 years ago. Like, oh, okay. that's cool that it's been living in someone's head for this long and it's finally, been pulled out. I thought that was really, really neat. And yeah, I'm a big fan of the plastic models. All their modern plastics I'm a big fan of. And, is there any standout models for you that you want to, thinking of this too, the Avatar of the Father could make a pretty kick-ass Lycanus as well.
Yes, yeah, that caught my eye just because I'm like, oh, that might actually just fit, put a little bit of different skin tone on him and try to fit him into the undead army.
Yeah, he's got a tactical stump.
Yeah, but I think out of the Forces of Nature release, what really caught my eye was well, you just scrolled by it, but yeah, I really like their take on the Beasts of Nature. But I think my favorite one were the Guardian Brutes. I thought those looked sweet.
Yeah, those are so really nice.
Because I like how they have the like the little dudes kind of swarming all over him.
Yeah. Well, it's cool because it's like a resin. Oh, where the hell did the unit go? There it is. There you go.
I think is this one only in the bundle, I think?
Well, I'm sure it'll be out later.
Yeah,
they'll probably sell it separately as well, but they may even already have it. But yeah, I mean, I think it's super cool.
Yeah,
that the Guardian Brutes kind of Minotaur-ish. And what's funny is I've always thought of Guardian Brutes as more like an owl bear kind of guy. I think that was my jam. Yeah. But these guys are pretty cool because they're pretty chunky Minotaur.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I was just gonna say I think it's interesting that there's two models on the troop base there, but it feels so full. I like it because it kind of gives you the idea of like the scale of these guys. Like, oh, these guys are actually brutes, and then you have the other little dudes like riding along on them. So it's pretty cool. I think it'll make for some dynamic basing, that kit will.
Yeah. What'd you think of some of the Basilean stuff? I know they had the dragon, and then they had some of their characters. I mean, there's some cool models there too. Is anything jump out for you from on? You're not a Basilean guy though, right?
No, I've never really been a like a human player, I guess, in any of the I mean, Kings of War is like the main war game that I play. Gorgeous models. And I love seeing them on the tabletop, but they just don't really like scratch the itch for me.
Yep.
But dude, the dragon, scroll back up for that bad boy.
Yeah.
That's a chunky boy. Like that looks awesome.
It does. It's funny you say that. It's a thing that a lot of people forget that art is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
And they're making specific aesthetic decisions or design. They're making specific design decisions. And you know what? Not everybody's going to like everything that they make. And you know what? That's okay. That's why they have so many freaking armies. At this point, you should be able to find something in there that you do like. Or if you're more in the 3D realm, the 3D printing route, then go salamanders or one of the other, heck, you can pretty much make a Forces of Nature list. If you go the elemental route with what you can get on the vault. So, yeah, and I'm really excited. They've got a couple, the new books coming. It's going to have Basilean, and you've got a few new characters. You got Force of the Abyss with a few new characters, and then Forces of Nature, pretty much a whole new army, just about. And then Ogres getting at least one character as well. So I'm excited about the book. I'm pumped. I don't know if it's got. I mean, I don't think you even need to have it juice you up because it sounds like the tournament got you going pretty good.
Yeah, I think this tournament's going to keep me sustained for I don't know at least a couple of months. But I just one of the first things I did after the tournament was pre-order the Fracture book. So I'm pumped about that just to read through it. I'm also really excited to see what the universal commands are. Some of the ones that get released, and I know they postponed the survey so that way people, the one where people can the community can suggest command orders
and units.
Like that. So I'm excited about that. Yeah, and units too. So that's cool. I wonder if anything comes through. I'm sure some people are going to have some great ideas, but if anything like goes through that process and ends up getting published into the game, if they're going to have like a little asterisk in it and be like, oh, this idea came from this person or something like that. That'd be pretty cool.
Keep in mind that the over the years, many of the magical artifacts came from people, and they were named after those people, right? So Magwar's Potion of the Caterpillar, for example. So I would assume, they'll get all the credit and all the love in the world if and I imagine there's going to be some cool stuff that the community comes up with.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you have a small group designing something, you only have so many different people, right? To come up with
so many different perspectives, right? Yeah.
I mean, it's why Kickstarter and GameFound work so well, because you're not only are these platforms for crowdfunding, you're also crowdfunding ideas, right? As you go through the campaign, people are like, oh, what about this? And so I'm excited to see what comes out of that, especially on the commands too. I'm not smart enough to come up with some good commands, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm not
But
either.
I bet you there's going to be some really, really cool. And I'll reiterate what Matt said. I think the best ones are the ones you can write in like 1 or 2 sentences,
Mm-hmm.
that are like, you can clearly enunciate what you're trying to, you can clearly explain how this command works and its impact in just, a couple short sentences.
Yeah. And I really like the commands that are trait locked. So that kind of like allows you to get some flexibility where, you do like a relatively powerful command, but you can't apply it to your whole army, right? So it's almost like, when you right now, just the generic commands for armies, like if they weren't released in the last expansion, we only have 2, right? But just the thoughts of like, okay, whenever we get, undead specific commands instead of the generic commands, like maybe that'll change the way that I think it'll shake up the meta, right? Depending on how powerful they are, it'll change the way people are building armies. Like, maybe people I don't think a lot of people use ghouls right now. Maybe there's some ghoul specific commands in there that really make them crack or something like that. Maybe it gives them fearless for the turn or whatever it is. So it's really exciting thinking about that.
Now that it's been confirmed that we're going to have some Clash of Kings type elements in these books going forward, where other armies will get love and corrections will be made. They've always used that book, Clash of Kings, to not only, update rules and kind of add some more flavor, but they also change stuff in and out, right? Like some artifacts come in and some artifacts go out, mix up the scenarios. And so it's nice to know that evolution of the game, or those little injections of change into the game on a semi-regular basis, is going to keep things interesting. Because, at some point, at the end of 3.5, it was getting pretty stale. So I'm excited for the next wave. But tournament wise, you must have another tournament in the wings somewhere, right?
I don't really have anything in the near future. I have a little one on the way in August, so this was kind of my last hurrah for a little bit.
What a trooper your wife is, though.
Dude, I know. I got some debt to repay from that one. Thankfully, I was only going one night, but it's basically like 2 full days.
Oh no, because you're leaving at 5 a.m., so it's like you're not in there at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Saturday. And what time did the event get over on Sunday?
I think I hit the road around 5 because I got home at like 8:30, but I stopped to eat on the way, so it was good.
Yeah,
it was. Everybody.
Did you have them load that up?
I think I ate at the same McDonald's on the way there and on the way back. So that was the extent of my eating.
So what is the best painted Mantic Army champion Trent eat at McDonald's?
Oh, dude. Okay, so for breakfast, it's funny because I ate this exact same thing this morning after we went out and about. My daughter's a gymnastics practice, so 2-year-old gymnastics, always a blast. But here's what you got to get. You got to get the sausage, egg and cheese McGriddle. Yeah, you got to get the iced coffee with that, vanilla iced coffee with the hash brown. But then you add a sausage biscuit. So you get like the sweet McGriddle, and you got to finish it with the sausage biscuit. It's a game changer. I'm telling you.
I'm going to say something. I'm just looking at you. Has anyone ever told you have a striking resemblance to Ron Livingston, the actor?
Ron Livingston. Who is that?
You don't know who that is?
I don't think so.
It's funny because I've been rewatching Band of Brothers.
That guy. Does that guy look like him?
For some reason, yes, it's popped up.
Is it the beard?
I don't know. I'm gonna put it. Yeah, a little scruff.
Yeah,
I am gonna put a picture of him and you in our show notes, and people can be the judge.
You have to start a Facebook poll.
Yeah. Does one look like the other? Yeah. He's a pretty famous actor, though. He's been, he was in Swingers. I mean, that's like a million years ago, and he's in Office Space, which is probably the role that he's most known for. Yeah. But he's primary character in Band of Brothers too, and many, 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 many shows. If you, I'm sure most people know Ron Livingston. He's a good actor. So
I just had to do a quick Google refresh there to be like, oh yeah, I know who that is.
You're not really like the movie guy, or are you?
No, I mean I enjoy movies and TV shows. I would definitely. I don't think I would say I'm the movie guy, but yeah, you never know.
But you're 20 years my younger too, so that shifts things, right? So he's probably not the actor that would be starring in a lot of the movies that you're enjoying with your wife now.
That's fair. Speaking of entertainment, not to get too off topic here, have you heard of Dungeon Crawler Carl?
And I should probably tell a story. So I didn't know who that was, or that show. Right?
Yeah.
That I should say the what's it called? It's an audiobook basically, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a series of novels, but there's also I think the audiobook is what helped get it.
You
So
can actually just buy the book itself. You don't have to have the audio. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Andy Patton here in town is the biggest dungeon crawler Carl person I know. And I've been on many road trips to tournaments with him. One of which was the epic event, the U.S. Masters Arena last year, where we drove 30 hours each way ish. I can't remember. Maybe it was more.
Drove to that?
We did.
You always drive. Did you take the minivan?
No, we took his minivan. Yes. Oh. What was really funny is we didn't stop. It was straight through. So we were like, psh, and psh, we didn't stop to just, we stopped to eat and use the restroom, but we didn't stop to sleep. I mean, in 60 hours, you can get through some books.
Is that what you guys listen to?
Yes. There's some music mixed in there too, but he is a Dungeon Carl fanatic. Dungeon Crawl Carl, right? That's his name?
Dungeon Crawler Carl. Yeah, it's hard to say.
Okay, yeah. So to be fair, I have not listened to anything else other than when I'm in his presence. That would be Andy. Because he's just he farts Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's
hilarious.
I think it's the best story ever told. I have not listened to the audiobooks. My coworker is the one who mentioned it to me.
I tell you, I haven't read it, but the audiobook is amazing. And as I understand, it's like one guy.
Yeah, it's one dude.
What's the cat? Mrs.
Princess Donut.
Princess Donut. So they're making action figures. Put some
respect on that name.
Right?
Yeah.
They're making action figures.
Oh, they're going all in. Peacock picked it up to do a live action series. Well, I don't know if it's live action. They're going to do a series on it.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, and I will say it is a strong undercurrent in the Kings of War community of folks that love that property.
Yeah, Matt, the TO was reading it, and I was like, "Oh, dude!" I was like, "We got to talk about this." It's I'm telling you, do you like read? Do you enjoy reading?
Yeah.
I took a very long break from reading. I did school online, and then with work and everything, I just didn't really do it. But this year was kind of like my reading renaissance. I started reading some 40K novels, so like Horus Heresy, Infinite Divine, some stuff like that. But I kind of needed a break because I tore through a bunch of the books, and I was like, I need to get away from the grim dark setting. And that's when my coworker mentioned this to me. Like, I work in IT, so I work with a bunch of nerds. We all like 3D print, play D&D and stuff like that. So it works out really well. And at first when he said it, and I'm like, dude, lit RPG, what are you talking about? But he's like, dude, just get the first book. Trust me.
Yeah, the concept was insane as Andy explained it to me. And then within a half an hour, I was hooked.
Dude, and this was, I think this was probably a month ago he mentioned this, and I'm on book 8 right now. Just absolutely tearing through it. Like, it's so good. It's so good. Like, it's your typical, like, if you're Dungeons and Dragons nerd, like, you're going to love, like, the, level up, like, gear, boss battle aspect. But then when you get later on, when you start learning the bigger picture of, like, mega corporations, politics, like, all the sci-fi stuff that goes, it's crazy. I absolutely love it. If anybody ever wants to talk about it, just message me on Facebook because I'm obsessed. I'm trying to get my wife to read it right now.
What'd she say?
I'm working. I'm slowly wearing her down.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I really think it's.
But Rob, we didn't really talk about this in the beginning. But how's your hobbying going? And are you done with your yard?
Yeah. So the short answer is we have had like epic level of rain for the last few weeks to the point where I get the yard ready. It's all graded. It's all ready to lay the sod. And then I get 4 straight days of torrential thunderstorms.
Oh, man.
And it ruins everything. So as we're recording this, I'm fingers crossed. Tomorrow, I'm going to finish the tilling and I'm going to regrade it. This is a Saturday night. So I am optimistic, very small optimistic because it's pretty. The last few weeks have been rough because I have this bare yard for going on a month now.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to be delivered. 3 pallets of sod is supposed to be delivered on Tuesday. Future Rob here. It, in fact, did not deliver on Tuesday, but I'm glad to say that it did deliver on Thursday, and the sod has now been laid. So fingers crossed, everything works. But it rained like the dickens today, and people may not know you got to you till it up, right, and you get it ready, and then you roll it out, and you flatten it out and get it all nice and ready. But if it rains like that, it just messes everything up.
Yeah. If you soften it up and then it rains heavy, it's just going to mess everything up.
Exactly.
Man.
So, but
that sounds like
I'm
a
hoping,
nightmare.
because What's interesting is if I could just get that done.
Yeah.
Just get that done. Like that's one huge burden that I've had for like the last few months. Well, just outdoors in general, working on landscaping and stuff. And I can get back to my indoor hobby, right? Which right now would be a great time to be doing indoor hobby. It is, I don't know what the weather's like down there in Virginia where you're at, but it is high 80s and 75 to 85, even 90% humidity. I will go outside, and I'm a big guy. So I go outside to get the mail. I come back in and I have to change my shirt.
Oh man.
The last few weeks have taught me what it must be like to be like Tony Nelson.
Man. Yeah.
What's on your docket for more hobby?
Yeah. So I 3D printed out some of my terrain pieces, and I didn't really have a plan with the units, but I knew I was needed some of like my walls and statues that I have, so it was good. So I could take them and kind of like visualize on the base. But I have that. I guess the horde. I think technically comes like 42 zombies or something like that. So I have like 80 zombies staring me down. Still in the box, still in the sprue. So I gotta build those first and foremost, and then I'm trying to decide. I think I'm gonna try to. I could probably squeeze out 3 hordes with it. So I think I'm going to try to pump out 3 hordes of zombies because I like my regiments of zombies to be like almost full model count, just so they like looks kind of impressive. But when they get a little bit bigger like that with the multi-base and like adding the terrain, you can kind of stretch the number of models, or like lessen the number of models basically. So I think I'm going to be able to get 3 hordes out of it. I'm at least going to do 2. And then I'm going to try a couple of different builds out with those and see how it goes. I also have somewhere in one of my boxes, I have an old metal vampire on Undead Pegasus, which I would like to give a shot to. I have so many units that I want to actually try out, like some Soul Reaver infantry, and I have a ton of Revenant cavalry and stuff like that. I need to try out some different builds, but I'm pretty happy with the list that I have right now. Like it's a lot of fun to play and it fits my play style. So I think I'm just focusing on like tweaking this one a little bit and seeing how it goes. I don't really get to play that often. I mean, I feel like I'm like Jeremy. I know he said something that's like the most that he gets to play is like when he goes to tournaments, right? So it's always cool to like just jumble up your list a little bit because I'm not fighting for a spot on Masters, right? I know that going into a tournament. So it's good to mess around with the list a little bit and see how it goes.
What's your new 3D printer?
I have a Bamboo Lab P1S, and it is absolutely amazing.
So I just sent you, I don't know if you've been listening, but I did create a widget set, a 3D printable widget set.
Oh, did you really?
I did, yeah. I did this back like last August, and I haven't messed with it in a while. I got to go in and do a tray for 400mm tokens. So take a look at it. Basically, what I did was, because you have the War Chest Creations, it's designed to use the components in that in a magnetic stackable box.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because I love all the widgets from War Chest Creations, like the status tokens and everything like that. But it would be nice to take that. So like the measuring sticks.
I think it's up to 9 because I didn't want to make like a really long one. Mm-hmm. So I think it's up to 8 or 9 inches.
Okay.
But there's room for tape measures. There's room for dice. There's room for 25mm tokens. There's room for laser markers. I mean, take your pick. There's a bunch of different trays. And the piece de resistance is the top, which is a tracker, score tracker. So it tracks it tracks the turns, and it tracks and it's designed. So my original prototype that I made out of like a box for like a thing was, I had a magnet and I took a skull and just put a magnet in it and just scored. That's how I tracked the scores. And so the same thing, there's holes to put little magnets in this tracker, and then just grab anything you want that has a magnet, and you can use those as the counters to move it over. Right. So.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm going to check that out. I love my 3D printer, though. I had a resin one back in Germany, which is what I printed out my terrain bits for the army, like the army I took to Adepticon. So when I did my huge like undead revamp, that's what I used. I didn't want to have it in the house, especially with little ones running around. I ended up getting rid of it before we moved. But then I was it's funny, the same coworker that recommended Dungeon Crawler Carl, he was like, talking all about his 3D printer. And he actually like designs stuff and publishes it and all of that. So I talked to him about it, and he was telling me, he's like, dude, you got to get a Bamboo Lab. And man, it's so user friendly. Like the slicer software is great. I'm actually printing something right now. I just started before we did. I'm doing all kinds of widgets, not just for hobby. Like I printed like a medicine box. I'm printing a shoe rack right now. Like it's crazy. I love it. I'm just pumped. Like the tournament was a great time. Carolina Cryptid Memorial Day next year. They're running it for a 5th time. It was a great event. And I feel like we've talked about this a little bit before, but like I love going to huge events like Lone Wolf and Bug Eater and the big ones. I haven't been to Masters yet. It's on the bucket list. Well, I'll be going to Best of the Rest, but it would be great to meet everybody.
I qualified for Masters 1 year, and you know what ended up happening? I ran the event, so I didn't go. So, well, I mean, I went, but I didn't get to play. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, like I said, going to those big events is great. But when you go to these like medium-sized events with like 20, around like 20 people, you really get the chance to like talk to everybody, meet everybody, like learn everybody's story. And like it was really, really good event. Fun games. I mean, everybody was a blast. I got to play the dude who won the Sportsman Award or like Favorite Player Award, and it was just like it was Brandon who had the Orc Army. It was just like an awesome dude to play. It was so much fun, and yeah, really just a great group of guys. And Matt does an awesome job. It was a great event, and he put a lot of work into getting the scenarios ready and the monsters and everything like that. It was really, really cool. It definitely got the juices flowing again. I definitely found my motivation. Now I just have to put together 80 zombies, which I'm not super motivated to do because I actually don't like the assembly process. Basing is my favorite part, and then painting, but assembly is definitely like way, way down there for me. But it's also not too bad because I feel like when you're assembling, like you can just have your little box set up, your TV going, and kind of just like zone out. But it's almost something you just like you have to do, right? I know some people really enjoy it, and maybe I will like one day when I get into a little bit more like kit bashing and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm motivated, I'm pumped up, and can't wait to play the next game. I'm loving 4th edition, honestly. Like the commands, the changes to movement, the sticky combats, and everything like that. I think it's great.
I think I've mentioned this before to you that I think part of my problem was that I've been playing this game so long that I've sort of expected certain things to be this certain way. And really, even though it feels like Kings of War, there are some parts that are a lot different, and it's taken me a longer to get over it. Right. And I think you had a little bit of a break, right? When you're in Germany and you kind of came back, and I think you're jumping into it in the right way. And I kind of envy you, right? Like you're just like youthful vigor. You're just going all, I'm like, oh man.
I definitely know what you're saying about that. Like the first game I played, there was a lot of stuff that like I tried to do where I was like, wait, that was 3rd edition. This is different here. Or I'd be like, are you sure you can do that? To the opponent. And it's like, oh yeah, you can run through your units now and do all this stuff. So I definitely see what you're saying. And you've been playing since 1st edition.
2010. So it's been a long time. Well, awesome, Trent. It's been great catching up with the fountain of positivity. I can't wait to get you back on and hear more about your hobby journey, your next event, which, maybe a little ways out with family responsibilities, but you never know. So, well, final thoughts?
I'm having a blast in 4th edition. I'm just glad to be back in the community and glad to be back on Countercharge.
Well, that's good words to take us out. And until next time, keep countercharging.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Countercharge. Please let us know what you thought of the show by emailing us at counterchargepodcast@gmail.com, on Twitter at countercharge15, or by commenting on the Countercharge Kings of War podcast Facebook group. If you enjoy the show, you can help others find out about it by leaving positive reviews on iTunes. Until next time, keep countercharging. Music is a composition of Kevin MacLeod and is licensed under Creative Commons.